This is Tislam the Great, also God Sends Beats, and this is Green Room Sessions with Audio Infusion. Tislam the Great basically is an artist locally from Baltimore who at one point was just Tislam, and then when he got serious with the music, added on the Great, and then been doing MCing for years now. Well, Tislam comes from my culture. I'm a part of the Allah's 5%, also to some people being known as Nation of Gods and Earth. And through that learning, I chose a name for myself, which was Tislam, which stands for Truth, I Study, Learn, and Master. Well, God Sends Beats is basically a creation that I put together as a producer. Basically, God being the seventh number, seventh letter. You can also put cents, like the cent sign, like when you purchase things in pennies. And then, but I flip it on some God sense. Some people say you have, that sixth sense. Well, I'm one level above having six senses. I have seven senses, and I use those senses in order to create music and sound with different vibrations, and it comes out in a form of a beat. Some of it can be hip hop, some of it can be R&B, neo soul. I just go with the vibe that I get. Wow, some of my musical influences coming up. I mean, my mom's always had records in the household, so we can go from Shaka Khan to Earth, Wind and Fire. Your typical, whoever was born in the 80s time, which your mom may have had downstairs, and my pops as well, with the jazz, with, Thelonious Monk and various Blue Note label vinyl floating through there as well. And I mean, when it comes to MCing and growing up, Mos Def from Talib Kweli, Black Star, one of the best hip hop albums ever to come out as far as I'm concerned, along with people like KRS One, and the list can go on, MF Doom. Locally I've been influenced by people like Fruity, Lab Tech One. Those are the people that I listen to coming up on the scene. Golden Seal. There's so many people I could, put out there that have really gave me my love for this culture. That's a good question. It really wasn't no point in time that caused me to okay, it's time to take this serious. Well, you know what, let me take that back. There was one point in time where I was just doing music and hip hop for just the fun of it, freestyling, on the radio when I was going to New York Institute of Technology. But what happened was a friend of mine, Rod DeBliz, who's also on the project of God Sends Beats, he was like, look, man, if you really want to be an MC, you got to start writing. You got to start, putting together songs. You got to start, coming up with concepts. Because off the top was nothing for me to do. Freestyling was what I came into this love of hip hop for. But so I want to say you would have to be around 99 when he spoke those words to me. And then from then forward, it's been like homing my craft by writing, regardless if it was, conceptual rhymes or just letting it flow off the pen, whatever came up. Well, the first time I ever heard my music on the radio was 88.9, to be honest with you, strictly hip hop. And I kind of knew it was going to happen, but didn't know when it was going to happen. So you're sitting there by the radio, got your headphones on, and you're just like, am I coming on next? Am I coming on next? And then finally you get to hear your introduction of your music about to be played, and it comes on, and a couple of friends call you, and back then it wasn't texting at that point. So, you actually got physical phone calls from people. And it was nice, it was a good feeling, and, I look forward to that happening even more and more. I guess to say my most favorite performance would have to be when I opened up for KRS One spontaneously. I was not supposed to open for him, and I was living right behind the auto bar at this point in time. And the people who were supposed to open for them that day, either something happened, not sure, whatever. But auto bar called me up and was like, look, do you want to open up for KRS One? I'm like, yeah, I'm right here. I'll just walk over and do the show. So I told my homies that was there, so my whole crew, Unison Collective back then, was me, EQ, and Misery. And we came over to the club and we shut it down to the point where all the acts that came after us, they booed them and did not like them. They wanted us to come back. And it was a great night. Get to meet KRS-One, of course, which was wonderful in itself, but just to spontaneously do it and to get paid. That's one key thing. I love you, Audubon, because every time I've done a show there, you guys pay. Well, I've been an MC in Baltimore for almost 20 years now, so it's ups and downs, you know. It's grown and has been destroyed, as far as I personally feel, here in Baltimore, over and over. It's a cipher, so it was like, you know, at one point in time, there was a lot of hip hop, a lot of MCs, a lot of shows, a lot of camaraderie and things of that nature, and then it kind of just got bad. Just like, you know, the typical industry radio top 40 music became bad. But that's all based on, you know, your opinion and your time span and what you consider good music. But to be an MC, it's really the same. You gotta grind, find your spot, work your spot, try to be diverse in your audiences. Don't just go to who you think you're supposed to go to. If you're a backpack rapper, you can't just hang around people who like just backpack music, because you're limiting your sound and you're limiting your audience. Attend all types of events, from the poetry to the quote unquote trap to the gutter. If you got skills, you got skills. That's all that matters. Well, the new project out is gearing more towards my production side. The birth of my daughter caused me to step away from doing the MC thing as hard as I was before out there, you know, because back then I was doing shows every 2 months, every month I was getting show after show. There was always talks of contracts and other labels that I was even negotiating with. There was a lot of things going on, but my daughter came along, responsibility kicked in, and I stepped back. And from that being home, I got back into making beats using Fruity Loops. I was making beats back in the beginning of my career. My mentor, Frody, showed me on the PlayStation, did Fruity Loops 1, computer crashed, left it alone. But you know, being home at that point in time, around 2008, with a laptop, taking care of my child, and I just started making beats, and it grew and grew, and then I got to know better and better of how to produce and how to EQ my sound. Shout out to NASA 8, which was a great change in the sound of my music. These group of individuals showed me some real cool tricks to use Fruity Loops. Shout out to J Soul, who also helped me in my EQing to where I felt as though my beats are good for people to hear and to be sold. And for years, I've contacted several MCs from Baltimore, some outside of Baltimore. Actually, one of them being Problems. If you don't know who that guy is, Lyricist Lounge Volume 1, check him out, Mr. Link's character, and he's on my project. So it's just building these tracks up, came up with the name Oysters, because oysters possess a pearl, and a pearl is a gem, and each track on my album is a gem in itself. Because not only are you gonna find what you probably expect, nothing but boom bap hip hop, but you will also find R&B, some poetry, very nice music that you can play around your mom, your dad, your kids, whomever, at the club, in a cypher. It's very diverse, and I think that's how it is. Each track is a gem, hence the word Oysters. Come get you a pearl. Drops out July 7th. Well, the reason why I didn't rhyme on it, it just was like, I wanted to focus more making a lane for myself as a producer under that name, because everybody knows me as Tislam the Great. That's the first thing anyone's gonna mention. Even I've gone and done production for people and they make a mistake and put Tislam the Great instead of God Sends Beats. So I figured with this project, you know, I wanted to find out what it takes to get it done, as far as promotions, as far as videos, marketing. I've done everything 100% out of my pocket myself to prepare me for my next project. Well, future plans is I may shoot another video for this project, Oysters. I already have one that's out right now, the intro, which is on YouTube, and then the next one will be dropping at the listening party on the 27th at Maryland Art Place, featuring You'll Never Know, a track called Free Throw Line. It was shot by Scar Akbar. But I may do one more video for that album, but next is taking all this knowledge I've gained from putting this album together from rooter to tutor and applying it to myself as an MC and doing the same thing. And I want to begin writing, and I've recorded a few songs already, but writing some new music, getting together with some new producers, and using all that knowledge, like I said, to push this next album. Wow, thank you. Well, shout out to Audio Infusion, the Green Room session. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. DJ Patrick Scientific, of course. Shout out to NASA 8, that's my crew. Stay tuned for music for them as well. Shout out to Baltimore as a whole. This is my home, this is where I'm from. And I mean, shout out to everybody who's gonna purchase that project on July 7th. All streaming platforms if you just wanna stream it, or go to Bandcamp at gbsbeats.bandcamp.com.